I hope each and every one of you had a fantastic holiday season. I know that I did. It was a very good one. Very good to spend the next couple of or last couple of days kind of being a little bit free to kind of refresh and kind of take some things in and spend some time with the family. But doesn't stop things happening around LSU that we got to get into here this afternoon. See, I feel like to me, as we go live at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time every night, that it feels morning to me. It's not. It's past noon, so good evening, good afternoon, no good night yet. But I hope that all of you did have a really good holiday season. We got lots that we need to discuss, a lot of rumors that are flying around out there and things that I'm hearing. Quarterback position being a hot topic. We'll talk about that. I've seen some things. I've been sent some things. I've been tagged in some things about apparently Lane Kiffin have some liabilities on his staff. We'll talk about that as well. We'll talk about the transfer portal. And we got lots to discuss. Oh, by the way, LSU plays a football game tomorrow in the Texas Bowl. So we haven't even previewed. We haven't really even had time to preview Houston, what I think about them, and what you could do or you couldn't do. So we'll talk on that, and we'll break those 3 or 4 things down in its entirety. Nevertheless, wanted to start off the show by saying this. Like I just mentioned, hope all of you had a very good holiday season. Look, after tomorrow night, tomorrow morning, whenever this game ends, guys, you have a new era that starts. I mean, it kind of feels like as you're coming out of the holiday season, you go into the new year, January 2nd, right around the corner, happening next week, you start a brand new era because players will be entering, players will be coming in from the transfer portal. We got lots that we need to talk about. There's a rumor that's flying out there around Kawan Lacey, things flying out there about Trey'Dez Green that we need to discuss, all in the quarterback position. So as I signed off on December the 23rd, the final pretty much thing that I said was, hey, man, you better start gearing up because there's going to be a lot of new faces and a lot of new things that are happening in this program. And I think some of you did not anticipate, maybe, I think it's a good word, but I don't think some of you understood what was being said there in reference to it. You better gear up, buddy. You better gear up. So to all of you that are coming off of a very, very probably family-filled, very stuffed Christmas holiday season, you need to prepare yourself. So we'll get into that. That's all I need to say about that. Where is everybody listening to from today? I see some people already in here. Matt says he's in the 985 Covington, Louisiana. Stand up. Good to have you in here with us. Ricky is in the 337 New Iberia. Good to have you with us, Ricky. Hope you had a great holiday season. And Childish Daddy D is in the 504 representing. We greatly appreciate you watching. Yes, tell us in the comments where you're watching. By the way, if you I think it's funny, some people are attacking me and family, and then they come in here in the chat and start saying stuff. Can't do that, man. Can't do that. Bryce became a new member on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Bryce. Yes, let me find out that people were being gifted year-long memberships to the YouTube channel. Let me find out. Got sent a couple of them. It was really humbling to see some of y'all giving people $30 and saying, hey, you're going to go subscribe to this. It was pretty cool to see that for the annual YouTube subscription, but nevertheless, absolutely fantastic. Thank y'all for all sending that. Juju's in the 225. Good to have you with us. Terry is in New Iberia as well. John Sibley Butler, Dr. John Sibley Butler is in Austin, Texas via the 985. Franklinton, Louisiana, stand up. Dylan is in the 337 Church Point, stand up. Good to have you all in here with us this morning. 985 Slidell is in the building, says Zeus. Good to have you with us, Zeus. And Andrew says, happy holidays, Tiger fans. Yeah, next week's New Year's, man. We start this whole thing all over again. Blaine says, Winningham to Michigan, he retires. Then, oh, yeah, I'll coach again. Well, that just tells you that he didn't retire. That just tells you that he didn't want to retire, that he was more being forced out than anything. Our good friend Stephen Fry over at Fry Construction. What's up, buddy? Good evening or good afternoon. Happy holidays to you. He says, Blake, let me know if the Tigers need some more bodies for this bowl game. Almost positive I have some eligibility left. Yeah, there are going to be some guys that aren't going to make the trip, especially some guys that, for whatever it's worth, the writing's on the wall that they're not going to play here. And I'm assuming that they'll make some of those announcements in the coming days. And look, you gotta do a really good job in retention. We talked about Harlan Berry. Trey Green is in attendance. You know, what is his status moving forward? Got to lock him down. Just signed a deal with Nike. So we'll talk about that. I've heard some of the rumors flying around there. We'll see. But yes. Jay says, congrats to Brazzy. Yes, Michael Braswell announced yesterday he had been signed since last week. Michael Braswell signed with the Kansas City Royals. He's going to pitch. He's been doing some things, behind the scenes to kind of get back on the mound. A local guy here in Benny Latino was a big part of that, and now being with Kansas City. And they signed Michael Braswell. Congratulations to Brazzy. That's a big deal. Being on the mound, your third baseman's throwing 95 off the mound right now. Watch him be the guy that does some really good things in Major League Baseball. Adrian. Probably just Adrian. Says, Harlem not going anywhere. He wants the competition. I don't think he's going anywhere either. I don't think he is either. And they've done a really good job at telling him what they're going to utilize him in. From what I told him, that's what we talked about on the 23rd. Everything that they're, showing him, telling him, and I think we'll be fine there. I think we'll be fine. All right, let's get rolling. We got lots to discuss. Everyone do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all those groups. If you're on Facebook, it's all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe. Wherever you're listening to us on the audio podcast, do us a favor. Just hit the five stars on the audio podcast. We greatly appreciate it. Every AYS show, by the way, is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Sign up and download the FanDuel app, the FD Sportsbook app today. We got a lot of playoff games coming up. LSU plays tomorrow. You can place that bet on that game. Game starts at 8:15 Central Standard Time, so you're going to be up late. What else do you have to do? But the Tigers will play tomorrow. You can place that bet with our good friends over at FanDuel. Glad that they were with us during this whole coaching carousel, this whole college football season, and looking forward to being partners with them for a long time. But appreciative to our good friends over at FanDuel. Download the FD Sportsbook app. If you have any thoughts, questions, concerns, go over to FanDuel.com/RG for more details. All right, let me get to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to break down the portal, some quarterback talk that's been floated around out there, some of it being a little misleading. We'll talk about some things that have been flying out there, kind of recapping the last couple of days. At the end of it, we'll talk a little bit about LSU and Houston that plays tomorrow. Stay with us.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about our good friends over at Red Stick Financial. They're your local residential mortgage broker located right here in the heart of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. At Red Stick Financial, they find the bank that works for your particular set of needs to purchase the home of your dreams or refinance the current one. They truly are your partners in this process, and they pride themselves in helping individuals and families with one simple goal in mind, and that is to make home financing approachable, attainable, and stress-free. They are licensed in all Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. So from Amarillo to Meridian and everything in between, they have you covered. Red Stick Financial brings you creative, customized solutions, and they don't believe in the one-size-fits-all when it comes to loans. They even have special options for mobile and manufactured homes located in a flood zone and stated income financing for those of us who are self-employed borrowers. If you or someone you know is looking to buy a home, refinance an existing mortgage, or simply want to know what options are out there for your future, give Red Stick Financial a call today at 225-407-9250. That's 225-407-9250. Or check them out online at redstickfinancial.com. That's redstickfinancial.com. Before you purchase the home of your dreams or you go and do that refinance, you need to go local. Go Red Stick. We're back. All right, let's get moving here. We have tons and tons that we need to discuss. So over the last couple of days, there's been some things that have been going out there about where LSU may potentially be going at quarterback that some has been a little bit misleading on where they're going to go. Now, I know that we had the clip that got a lot of views on it, whatever, about what LSU is going to be doing at the quarterback position. And I want to double down on, not really double down on, but re-emphasize, not even doubling down because nothing's changed. But talk about some of the things that LSU, from what I'm hearing, is going to do and has been doing at the quarterback position. Gus, for some of these top dudes, they're casting a wide net. As we talked about last week, LSU is going to talk to guys like DJ Lagway. They're going to talk to guys like Braden Sorensen. They're going to talk to guys like Sam Levitt. They're going to talk to a lot of these quarterbacks that are going in the portal to decide on where they want to go. And they're going to have constant conversations with them, especially when this portal starts to open next week. But they're already doing their due diligence. Now, there was a report that came out about DJ Lagway and LSU having communications with him. I again think it's a little bit misleading about where LSU currently is in that current recruitment, about how they structured the conversations around it. Because LSU is going to cast a wide net and talk to all of these big-time quarterbacks that are going to go in the portal. Does Bryce Underwood even get in it? Now that Kyle Whittingham is being announced and going to be announced as the next head coach of Michigan, they're bringing John Beck, their offensive coordinator. Who knows what happens there? But one thing I do know is for sure is they're locking in on, I'm going to go ahead and be over conservative here, the 3 and 4 quarterbacks that they think that can be a part of their system. And the ultimate decision that Lane and Charlie Weiss Jr. and Billy Glasscock can make is where they go at quarterback in the future. There are some young guys at the quarterback position that are going to enter the portal, that have already entered the portal, that they can utilize there and say, hey, listen, we're going to bring a guy in who's probably got a year, maybe 2 max, that is going to be a part of our system. They're going to run our offense, and then it's your show after that. Guys, LSU's got to go for 2. I think personally they got to go after 3 quarterbacks, so they have to cast a very wide net. They have to talk to a lot of quarterbacks about where they are and where they're doing. But the report came out about DJ Lagway, and there's a couple of things I think about that. Number one, regardless of the quarterback that LSU gets as their starter for next season, I trust in Charlie Weiss, I trust in Lane Kiffin and Billy Glasscock to make the decision for the guy that they believe that can run their system the most effectively to get them where they ultimately want to go. Where is that? In year 1, I don't know where that is, other than being competitive and potentially being on the edge of making the playoff with everything that you have to do and redo in building this roster. It doesn't bother me whoever they bring in or they get. They have shown that you should trust in them to do what they need to do at the quarterback position, bringing in Jackson Dart, bringing in Trinidad Chambliss. Look at the level of production that Ole Miss has had at quarterback the last 6 seasons. I do not worry about them there. Do I think the DJ Lagway report is a little bit misleading? Yes, I do think it's a little bit misleading. But they have to talk to every single quarterback that gets in that portal because, guys, there's a very strong chance that Michael Van Buren's not on your roster next year. And even if he was, you're going to want to bring some more bodies in to have a high level of competition so that you can find out who your starting quarterback is going to be for next year. Do I think there's been conversations with Sam Levitt? You're damn right. I think there's been conversations with Sam Levitt. Have there been conversations with others? Yes. Have there been conversations with other quarterbacks that potentially aren't in the portal that will make it known that they're going to go in the portal? Very likely that is happening. And I put that in a way in saying that I'm not really guessing on that. Do I think that DJ Lagway, and starting off with him, do I think that he has a lot of the abilities to do a lot of really good things at LSU under Lane Kiffin, Charlie Weiss, etc.? Yes. He's got all the tools. He's mobile enough, big, strong, physical, got a big arm, need to be more accurate, but he's got all the tools that you look for in what could be a very productive quarterback. However, there are a couple of things that would concern me in going in that direction solely. Number one, the injury problem going into last season really would worry me. The inaccuracies in decision-making really worry me. So you have 2 schools of thought. Number one, if that's where Lane and Charlie and Billy Glasscock want to go, guys, they know more about their system. They know more about quarterback situation than I do. So people will look at a DJ Lagway situation, who, by the way, was really, people say he's a 2-time starter or 2-year starter. No, he's not. Guys, he just went through a full year of being a starter. We've seen guys that have struggled at other places grow and develop in other systems and do a lot of really good things. Jaden Daniels, who went 10 for 10 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, the last year that he was at Arizona State before gracing us in Baton Rouge on what he was going to do ultimately in becoming a Heisman. The tools and the abilities that DJ Lagway has, got to some extent are not something that you coach in reference to. He's got a big arm. He's physical. He's tough. The decision-making and accuracy is going to have to get better. The injury concerns is where I would start off with. That is what would worry me the most. Physically, is he going to be able to go through an entire season without injury? Going into last season, he had an ankle, he had a shoulder, he had another ankle, then he had a knee situation. It kind of piled up on him. And I don't know if he ultimately fits the system. Again, I strongly believe, from what I've heard, that the report is a little bit misleading. A conversation is a conversation is a conversation. It doesn't mean that they're ultimately going to go there. They very well may. They very well may go there. The bottom line is, like we talked about, reported, whatever you want to discuss, they are talking to a lot of quarterbacks. Do I think that DJ Lagway would be a really good quarterback with Lane Kiffin and in a system and things that they do? Quite frankly, I think they can mold him. They can restructure some things, and they could do a lot of really good things with DJ Lagway. What you see as an LSU fan, however, is Blake, he walked off into Death Valley and threw 5 picks. And you can't erase that from your memory bank, right? You cannot erase that from your memory bank. I get it. I also remember a lot of very talented quarterbacks in the SEC that wound up becoming very, very talented, very, very good quarterbacks that have done did a lot of bad things early on in their career and wind up going into a situation in their junior and senior year where they're dominating the opponent. You know, I use this analogy, and I'm not trying to compare DJ Lagway to this guy, but I think about early Peyton Manning at Tennessee to late year Peyton Manning at Tennessee, because Peyton was throwing double-digit interceptions the early parts of his career. Again, I'm not comparing him. I'm not comparing him to one of the best overall quarterbacks, but the numbers in college don't lie. Peyton had a very bad turnover problem when he was in Tennessee, especially early in his career. Development, wind up getting him where he needed to go. The best QB developers that we've seen in the SEC over the last 6 years, and I would even make an argument over the last decade for what it's worth, has been what Lane has done, whether it be at Bama, whether it be at Ole Miss, and the level of production that they got. Again, you can't fake the production. Let's see where they go. Again, it's misleading to right now. Not saying that they're ultimately not going to DJ Lagway. It's a little bit misleading right now in saying that is the full direction. When reports come out there, when you're having conversations with a lot of quarterbacks, I also think is a little bit, detrimental. That's what I'd say. Again, so there's 2 schools of thought that I personally have. Number one, I think that DJ can be a high-level quarterback in the SEC. I think he'd be a high-level quarterback just in college football. He has all of those abilities. We got to understand what comes with that, though. And look, I think guys like Lane, guys like Charlie Weiss, guys like Billy Glasscock, they look at a guy like DJ Lagway, and they look at the big arm. They look at the level of physicality. They look at what he did against teams versus Georgia and pushing the ball down the field. They looked at what Billy Napier was trying to ask him to do and probably not fitting the best things for him, constantly making him throw the football in Tiger Stadium last year when, quite honestly, he was having an off day and you didn't give him a chance. You didn't give Jaden Ball the football enough to be able to get a win in Baton Rouge early in the season this past season. He's going to be very talented, and they could potentially see a kid that can come in here and do some really, really good things. The other school of thought, though, that I just will continue to bring up if we go there, what is his injury status? And accuracy and decision-making is going to be a big deal here. Look, there are going to be a lot of quarterbacks. Sam Levitt is out there. Drew Mestemaker is out there. I don't think they go there. Brandon Sornsby, I think he leans more Texas Tech. Josh Hoover, from TCU. It would appear that he's leaning a lot into Indiana and going the Fernando Mendoza route. Good for him. But you're going to start structuring some of these things. Let's see where they ultimately go. But the conversation has been happening, and again, was a little bit less misleading. In reference to the portal, there was a report that came out in reference to Kewan Lacey, the running back at Ole Miss, that Ole Miss is preparing. This is a rumor. I can't confirm it. I don't really, to be blunt with you, I really don't trust anything that the Ole Miss media puts out right now because of how bad they missed in this entire Lane Kiffin situation and how bad they missed in a lot of situations when it comes to Charlie Weiss Jr. and the offensive staff. But there is a report coming out of Ole Miss that Kewan Lacey potentially, that Ole Miss is gearing up to pay him $1.8 million in TV revenue and NIL. Look, if you're going to pay a running back that high level of money and he stays, I just don't know if a running back is worth that amount of money. I think that running backs in college football get looked through in an NFL prism, where the running back position is much different in college. When you talk about paying money, when you talk about going and getting premier talent and dudes at that position, it's much different when you talk about an NFL shelf life versus a college football shelf life. That position in college cannot be overstated of how much a good running back and a good running game propels you to getting yourself in the playoff. When we look in the NFL, the running backs don't go in the first round a lot of times. They kind of, go in the second round because of shelf life, unless there's a really good back that comes in, like a Saquon Barkley, Leonard Fournette, whatever. And those things are different. Or they go in the late in the first round. I look at the situation. That's an NFL model when you look at guys in a 5 to 7 year window when the shelf life at running back isn't that. Guys, at most, majority of the time, you're going to have these dudes for 4 years. It's a much different way. So I don't think it's a complete miss, to get him into the $1 million to $1.5 million. I think $1.5 million is pushing it. But running back is a completely different system and situation. If I could advise Kewan Lacey, which I can't, I would just tell him, look, man, you need to understand Frank Wilson's running back rotation and how it does not benefit you. I mean, it just doesn't. Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss leaving does not benefit you. I think Ole Miss people believe that they're not going to take a step back offensively after everyone walked out that door. And not only is that just asinine of a thought, but that is absolutely ridiculous to think that that is going to be the case here, that they're just not going to take a step back offensively in the things that they are doing. The bottom line is, if they want to pay him that much money and he wants to say, fine, there are a lot of really good running backs that are in the portal right now that I think that really kind of mold and look a lot like what you can go and get in a Lane Kiffin style of offense. Trey Wisner just entered the portal out of Texas. Texas is going all out after Jaden Ball from Florida. By all means, do it. Hell, you can go after Jaden Ball. But you also have Harlan Berry, and you need the Thunder to the Lightning. And that was the conversation that we have been having. If you want to stay, if Kewan Lacey wants to stay, by all means, go ahead and do it and get your money and go into the NFL and make a lot more money. Who knows what Ole Miss is going to do here in reference to money? You didn't want to pay Quinshon Judkins, but it feels a little bit desperate to me. Maybe desperate's a bad word. It feels like they're overplaying their hand a little bit to try to keep as much as they can in-house with Pete Golding going into year one. Listen, I think he's a talented back. I hope that you get him. I hope that Kewan Lacey, along with Harlan Berry, are your 1-2 punches at running back. That would be absolutely electric. I think there's a lot of really good backs that have entered the portal already, or people say, Blake, they hadn't technically entered the portal. You get what I'm trying to say there. People that have announced that they are anticipating of putting their names in the transfer portal. This whole running game situation, this whole running game scenario, it's the biggest thing that you have to fix, which we'll get to a report that really pissed me off a little bit later. But if that report is true, I don't think that it is. But even if it is true, if you want to stay, by all means, LSU pivots and goes somewhere else to get the Thunder to the Lightning. You got to have a physical back. look, the biggest argument that I had with people, whether it be on the former staff or even some people inside the show, was last year I said, listen, I think LSU's got to go get a back out of the portal. I don't think that you're going to get a lot of production out of Caleb Jackson. Well, guys, you didn't. I didn't like the fact that you were going to have to lean as a number 2 back, potentially on that being Harlan Berry. Freshman running backs can start off slow. And with Caden Durham being injured, and look, I just didn't know if he'd be able to break tackles inside the tackles when it comes to this running game. And guys, quite honestly, yes, you can talk about the offensive line. You can talk about a lot of things. But even in that, guys, you got to break tackles at the line of scrimmage. You got to. I think of the great backs that we had here at LSU. Let's talk about some of them. Leonard Fournette. Darius Geis, not getting into the off-field stuff with Darius Geis. I think of Jeremy Hill. I think of Alfred Blue. I think of Justin Vincent in that one year. I think of all of the great backs. Probably one of my favorites was Ali Broussard. What do a lot of them have in common? Jacob Hester. What do a lot of them have in common? Guys, when they would get to the line of scrimmage, if you're going to try to arm tackle them, they're not going down. Breaking tackles in college football from that position and having a physical running back is always going to benefit you. It's always going to benefit you. You're going to have it in this league because there's too many dominating dudes up front defensively. Like I think about Georgia. I think about teams like Texas who went and got guys like Justice Terry. I think about all of the teams in the SEC. Like some people don't want to mention this, but I think of Alabama. I think of the teams that you would have to go and beat outside of your conference if you're ever going to make a run. I think of Ohio State. I think of all of these teams like Indiana. Because you're going to have situations where you're going to have to get tough yardage. So if Kewan Lacey wants to come, I think it's a great situation for him and for LSU. If he wants to stay at Ole Miss, I think outside of the money that they would give him, money is money. And I can't look to tell you to turn down $500,000 and $500,000 difference. If I was put in that situation and that was offered to me, I probably wouldn't walk away from it. At the same time, sometimes turning down money to go to a better situation to propel you to where you ultimately want to go would be a wise decision. Sometimes wisdom over taking the most is the better thing here. I don't think LSU should bid or give any running back $1.8 million. That is my opinion. I have been the guy that's come out here for what it's worth and stated as much that if you think a guy's a dude, spend whatever you want to. I don't know if Kewan Lacey is $1.8 million when you got a lot of things that you got to rebuild here. He's a great back. Do I think he should get 7 figures? Quite honestly, yes, I do. But to get into, closer to the $2 million range, if that report is legit, I don't think it is, then it is what it is there. There are a couple of other guys that intrigue me. Some of the wide receiver, DeAndre Moore at Texas went in the portal. Robert Woodyard at Auburn went in the portal. Wendell Gregory went in the portal. Bryce Baker went in the portal. Going to be interesting to see, but you need a young quarterback that can provide you some depth there. And there's some couple of offensive linemen that are going into the portal. Look, you're going to start being and seeing over this next week. After we kind of come out of this weekend and next week starts, I really anticipate that you start saying, oh, well, man, it seems like LSU's getting involved with this guy. It seems like they're getting involved with that guy. That's what I've been told about how this is going to start going on. So you start getting into Monday, Tuesday of next week, things are going to start picking up on probably some things that you're starting to hear. Bottom line is there's a lot of really talented players that are already going to be entering the portal. You got to hold on to guys like Carius Kern and such. So, all right, last thing. I was sent this on Christmas Day. I don't know really what to say about this. I had a lot of people kind of hit me up and say, hey, are you hearing anything about Trey Green? Other than some rumors, no. I come out here and just continue to say this, and I feel like I'm on repeat. Nobody and I mean nobody on this offense, nobody should leave. I think that when you see, I'm going to be careful how I say this. It doesn't matter. Guys, you're starting to see a lot of these former player personnel people become agents. They are advising clients things that are absolutely asinine. I mean, stuff that just pisses me off. If you're an offensive player on LSU's current roster, money is money is money. I don't think LSU's going to lay down lightly for a guy like Trades Green. I know there's a lot of rumors out there. You've sent them to me. I'm not. We'll see. But I think that people are taking rumors and running them as gospel. I don't think that they need to do that. That's just me. But it is what it is. You need another tight end to go with Trades Green for what it's worth. You need a guy that can be on the end line of scrimmage. Trades Green is not an in line of scrimmage, outside the tackle, blocking. That's not him. We asked him to do something that's not a strength. We try to BK and Joe Sloan try to fit a square peg into a round hole. It was never going to work. And then you went and got a guy in Bauer Sharp who, quite frankly, I don't know what they were doing. And I said as much pretty much. I thought he would be a good receiving option. In line of scrimmage, blocking tight end is not going to be one of them. It was never going to be one of them. Why they tried to do that is beyond me. And why they allowed that to happen is also beyond me. So it is what it is. Lastly, before we get to a break here, I wanted to bring something up. So it came to my attention that a report came out about some of the staff that Lane Kiffin had and is starting to bring in. That a report came out of there. A report came out this couple of days ago that Lane hired a couple of massive liabilities. One of them being the offensive line coach Eric Wolford. The article is written by a guy who has a lot of Alabama leaning. When Kalen DeBoer got to Alabama, he didn't retain a lot of the guys that were currently on staff. Like some of the guys that had been with Nick Saban for a long time. Like I think of Sam Petito. I think of a lot of the player personnel guys that were there that he did not retain. I think of a guy like Eric Wolford, who was not retained as the offensive line coach. So I see a report that comes out and says, hey, Blake, this report's coming out here. There, a lot of people are saying that Eric Wolford, the offensive line coach, is a massive liability being hired by Lane Kiffin. All right. So you mean to tell me that Nick Saban and Lane Kiffin both missed on an offensive line coach? Okay. Number one, that is naive to believe as much. But since Eric Wolford left Alabama, from an offensive run game perspective, they have gotten worse. So when Eric Wolford walked out of the door along with Nick Saban and went back to Kentucky, they have gotten less physical along the line of scrimmage at Alabama. They have not recruited well in the interior of that offensive line. They didn't go in the portal well enough in the interior of that offensive line. And currently, right now, Alabama is 118th in the country in rushing. Nick Saban, when Eric Wolford first got the job, they did not have a left tackle. They had to go get Tyler Steen from Vanderbilt, who you ultimately missed on, and they had to go and get Proctor to be their left tackle. The interior of the offensive line, the complete interior of the offensive line, would wind up getting drafted at Alabama through the development of Eric Wolford. Alabama went from the 28th rushing team in the country to now they're sitting at 118th. And now I got to see a report and get sent a report that Eric Wolford's a massive liability. Oh, really? From a guy writing it who leans Alabama. Okay. I'm sorry. Do what now? Eric Wolford developed a first-round pick in Tyler Booker. He helped develop a guy at center who would ultimately be a Remington Award winner and got a guy at left tackle through recruiting that will be a first-round pick, you're going to have to start telling me how that is a massive liability. Let me tell you what also isn't a massive liability, at least not from an Eric Wolford situation. From an Eric Wolford situation, your new offensive line coach, you going from the top 30 rushing team in the country to now your team when Kalen DeBoer did not hold on to him, and now that Alabama can't run the football, who's the massive liability? Who's the massive liability? Kalen DeBoer's had 2 years, if he thought that offensive line was bad, to restructure it, which it is bad in the interior. It's very bad in the interior. If coaches are supposed to be able to develop and go in the portal and get guys, then it's none of that's on Eric Wolford. None of the stuff is on Eric Wolford to be able to say that, well, Bama's bad because of Eric Wolford. In what way possible? You're lining up the number one left tackle in the country in running back situations and handing him the football because you can't run the ball. So a guy that recruits a first-round left tackle has to run the ball so that you have any form of running game. Are you kidding me? Guys, I think when we look at some of the things that's coming out early behind the scenes from LSU itself, whether it be DJ Lagway and the misleading there, or saying that Eric Wolford is a massive liability. My brothers and sisters in Christ, they rushed for 180 yards when Bryce Young would grace Alabama in his final season at Alabama, and they didn't run the ball a lot. He wasn't the play caller. He wasn't. When you had Jalen Milroe at quarterback, arguably the worst quarterback in the Saban era, you're a play away from going to the national title game. You had to lean massively on your run game to win the SEC and to get to a college football playoff, and you're a play away from going to a national title again, and you're going to try to convince me that Eric Wolford's the problem. Guys, when I try to look at things from a logical standpoint, whether it's Frank Wilson, whether it's Eric Wolford, or whether it's Lane Kiffin, whatever, let's look at the actual facts. Since Eric Wolford left Alabama, you have been less physical along your offensive line. You haven't been able to run the ball. And with Nick Saban's worst quarterback in his tenure at Alabama, and I mean it, the worst, and Jalen Milroe, you mean to tell me that you had to lean on your run game to win the SEC, which is what you did, and then you're a play away from winning, or going to a national title, and you're the only team that gave the front seven of Michigan the toughest time when you came back in the second half to almost beat them, who, by the way, we gave up 7 sacks. 5 guys can't block 7. And I highly suggest everybody go back and watch that first half with Michigan versus Alabama, and you tell me what the offensive line's supposed to do. And I want you to come into the studio and draw it up on the big board on what they're supposed to do. Because it's basic logic. Lane Kiffin this, Lane Kiffin that. Well, I mean, the guy that's led in rushing the last 6 years in the SEC, he just hired him as his offensive line coach. So now Nick Saban and Lane Kiffin have both hired the same man, and we have reports coming out here from LSU leaning media that he's a liability. Frank Wilson, the same thing in that article. Guys, I got to be honest with you. The last time that I've seen Kevin Smith, the only thing that he's doing right now is producing running backs that go over 1,000 yards and 15 rushing touchdowns. That's all that I'm seeing. But calling him a liability coming in with Frank Wilson leaving is naive and silly. It's silly. There's a lot. So to wrap this all in a bow, there's a lot coming out right now. Some of it's misleading. I highly suggest that you take some of it with a grain of salt. Because I'd take Eric Wolford as my offensive line coach when he had to go in, when Saban came out publicly and said we had to rebuild along the offensive line, and that was the guy that he hired to do it. Again, what's the logic behind all of this? I don't know where you're going at quarterback. I don't know if Keywan Lacey is going to stay at Ole Miss. I don't think anybody knows. But speculating is speculating is speculating. Running it out there as gospel is not a smart thing to do. It's not a smart thing to do. All right. Let me get to a quick break. When we come back, we'll take some of your super chats. We'll talk a little bit about LSU and Houston that play tomorrow. Stay with us. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotion. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to their website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. We're back. Wilson Alexander of the Advocate is reporting that Kyle Williams is not going to be coaching the Texas Bowl per a team spokesperson. Roscoe is going to be a former LSU player who has been an analyst for LSU the last 2 years, will coach the defensive tackles. Kyle Williams has moved on. Look, I think that for Kyle Williams' sake, I'll just say this. I don't think that he enjoyed his time at being in college. I think that LSU got to a path at defensive tackle that they were a little bit desperate under Brian Kelly. Guys, a lot of people didn't want to hitch their wagon to BK. That's just the truth. Some people that I've talked to feel as if that they feel as if that they got to get the stench of BK's tenure at LSU off of them because of how bad it went. Well, some of them, I would just say that some of them aren't going to be able to because they were a massive part in that. Frank Wilson met with the media as well and said that he's going to be with Ole Miss at the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans and spoke very highly of Pete Golding. I got to be real with you. I just, it doesn't bother me that Frank's remained on as your interim coach. I know that him and Lane have, kind of steered this ship in a lot of ways. I got to say this because it's been bugging the shit out of me. If you think Blake Baker doesn't have a massive say of what happens in this Texas Bowl, you're outside your box. You're outside your box. I've heard some people trying to defend that. Okay, well, talk to people who know. You're outside your box. You're outside your box. Guys, the game in Oxford next year is going to be very intriguing. It's going to be college game day is going to be there. Lane Kiffin goes back to Oxford. You know what it's going to be. But Kyle Williams is not going to be there. Damari Roscoe is going to take over as the defensive tackles coach for the bowl game. And I appreciate Kyle for all he did. I thought the defensive tackles played a lot better this year under his tutelage. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. I know that it was very tough on him. And, I thought for what it's worth, I think Kyle did a great job. I think one of the biggest leaps that LSU took this past season that goes unnoticed is what they did in the interior of their defensive line. The amount of physical play that they had, I thought that Jacoby and Guillory played really well. I thought Don McKinley gave you some good snaps. Bernard Gooden did a lot of really good things. Statistically speaking, Bernard did not have like the breakout year from a statistical analysis standpoint, but he created a lot of havoc. They played really well is what I'm trying to get at. I appreciate Kyle for all that he did, man. He was a big deal for LSU, and they did a lot of really good things in that interior, and it was pretty much why you did a lot of really good things in defending this run this year. All right, let's get to a couple of super chats here. The Broad 337 with a $2 super chat says, Blake watching from the 808 per usual, Hawaii. Stand up and stand proud. I'm guessing, Brandon, you just wanted me to read this off? Okay. Anthony says, how do you feel about the new offensive line coach? I know Lane has an idea of what he's doing. I just don't know much about him. So we just got done talking about him. And this is the part, is that people then come in here and they talk about, because they see a baseless-ass article, with all due respect, and say, oh, he's a massive liability. Well, if Eric Wolford's a massive liability, like, guys, I look in Kentucky, their running backs. They had 16 rushing touchdowns with Connor Boley as their quarterback. Connor Boley sucked. He had 12 interceptions this year. He stinks. That wide receiver room is completely depleted at Kentucky. Mark Stoops got fired because they sucked. Like, guys, they were worse than you were. The only way that they were beating teams down the stretch is because they were running the football at a high clip. So, no. I think Eric Wolford, when you see high-level dudes saying that he's a great developer of talent and a great recruiter, I'm going to go based off of what they say. Arctic Tiger says, keeping it real offshore, Gulf of America. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you doing the Lord's work out there in the Gulf of America. Thank you for joining us, Arctic Tiger. D. Smith with a $2 super chat says, Taylor Green with Kiffin would be crazy to me. Well, he's out of eligibility. He's out of eligibility, but a dude like that would be. Does a guy like C.J. Bailey at NC State go in the portal? That would be insane, too. That would be very much insane. Rodney Scott with a $5 super chat says, Jane Daniels threw 10 picks at Arizona State this year, or the year before coming to LSU. He did. And listen, I'm not going to – I don't really care any which way of which Lane and company decide to go at quarterback. I really, really, really don't. I think Lane and Charlie Weiss Jr. and Billy Glasscock have an elite understanding of what they need to do at quarterback. None of that is on display more than this season with Trinidad Chambliss. If they want to go DJ Lagway, they want to go Sam Levitt, they want to go Drew Mestamaker. I'm throwing out a name in Drew Mestamaker. Wherever they want to go, I think that they're going to hit it there because they continue to hit it at quarterback. Do I think that there are some conversations, if it's a guy like DJ Lagway, that we have to discuss? Absolutely. But I think Lane Kiffin's a much different play caller than Billy Napier. I think he's a better developer and does better at scouting and does better at building a roster, and especially building a roster offensively, than what Billy Napier did. And he knows how to utilize the people around him. I think Billy's a good coach. I don't think he's a bad coach. But what we don't do in today's society is that we don't let quarterbacks mature at all. We see them, oh, man, first-time starter, they're doing bad. You got to bench him. This guy stinks. He's a bust. Why? Because he didn't come in as a true freshman or a true sophomore as his real first-time starting and hit it. And, I mean, like, that is crazy to me. We forget history and what history taught us. We forget, and I brought up the Peyton Manning analogy just because I thought that would hit home a little bit more. We forget the early years of Peyton Manning throwing double-digit interceptions in a time and era when throwing the football wasn't a massive deal. It's not like today. So, I mean, we got to let young quarterbacks develop here. We do. Shaquan with a $20 super chat says need multiple quarterbacks in the portal, but if MVB does stay, he could develop nice under Kiffin's system. Went back and watched the Georgia game from last year, and he looked pretty dang good. Guess that just shows the type of offense of staff that we had. Yeah, I mean, look, to Shaquan's point here, what do they see in a guy like Michael Van Buren? I don't know. I do not know. But Michael Van Buren's been put in between a rock and a hard place. He's got to go somewhere to start because now he's going into being a junior. He shouldn't have played last year. He probably shouldn't have played a lot this year. And he's kind of been dealt a very bad hand. I think MVB's got some tools. What do they think of him? I think that nobody has a bigger game on their hands going into the Texas Bowl more than Michael Van Buren. Shaquan with a $10 super chat says, so players have the second to the 16th just to enter the portal, right? That's correct. And playoff teams have an extra 5 days after last games, but that's just them entering. So what's the date they can join the team by? I don't think there is a day. Who is the quarterback that didn't TJ Finley join the team mid-year? Like, there's no real day, there's no real day that you have to enter or be committed and enroll. Like, you can do that whenever. Guys can be, commit to LSU but be enrolled at Ole Miss. I'm using that as a scenario. And then once the semester's over, then completely transfer over. That's just to enter. It's a lot like what happened last year with guys like AJ Halsey. Like, AJ Halsey went in the portal in the spring, but he was enrolled in Houston. And then when he was done with the semester, then he came over. So, I mean, they can't unenroll is what I'm saying. So yeah, you're correct. Goldberg with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, man. Derek became a member on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Derek. I greatly appreciate it. Go Taylor with a $20 super chat says, Blake, you inspired me to start my own LSU podcast. I'm excited to start the new year. Go Tigers, 4th and go pod. Cool, man. I appreciate it. I'm glad I inspired people. Somebody tagged us in something else saying, would you come on our show? I'll go on anybody's show. I shouldn't say anybody's. If you're attacking us on Twitter, I'm not going on there. But hit me up. Yes, doing this for a living is very fun. Very fun. Don't take no for an answer. Let everybody do it. LSU's got a lot of podcasts too, by the way. Even people who do it on radio. All right. Before we get out of here, we need to discuss this. So LSU faces off against Houston tomorrow. Just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about Houston. We have not discussed this bowl game. I think that I don't know how you guys feel. I feel like for me, I have a pretty good barometer about what you guys are feeling and the thoughts that you're feeling. I think that's been a superpower of mine to because I don't know of many people that talk to general fans as much as we do. But look, you do play a football game tomorrow. Houston, Texas Bowl, LSU. We'll face off tomorrow at 8:15 Central Standard Time. Look, TCU's 9-3. TCU. Houston is 9-3. Their second to last game last season, they lost to TCU 17-14. They beat Baylor 31-24. And you're going up against a former quarterback that you faced off with a season ago in Connor Wigman. They did relatively good against a Big 12 schedule. I look at Houston and look at what they did this year. They weren't great offensively, around 400 yards total yards per game. Scoring offense, they did not light the scoreboard on fire. Connor Wigman had 9 interceptions on the year with 21 touchdowns through the air, but he did run the ball a lot. And I think it's crazy that what ended his season last year for Texas A&M was you going after him and getting after him and sacking him a lot and him getting benched and Marcel Reed coming in. And now you face off against him again. You know the game plan against this kid. Get a lot of pressure on him, make him go right at you, make him make right decisions. And if you can, great. And if you can't, then it is what it is. You can make Connor Wigman defensively make a lot of mistakes. He has run the ball a lot this year. He has 11 rushing touchdowns for Houston, again, against Big 12 competition. I do wonder how that translates against you defensively with Mansour Delane not playing, with a couple other guys probably you're going to rotate in and out of there. AJ Halsey not playing, which I still don't understand what the announcement of him entering the draft. He has no eligibility. Opting out of the bowl game, I fully expect him to do that. He should. He has nothing else to prove. But I still think defensively that you can get after him. They don't do a lot of really great things along their offensive line. They're very leaky along their offensive line. This season, offensively, where they're 48th in rushing, where they've been very leaky is in pass pro. You send the pressure, you can get after Connor Wigman and get him to the ground. It's a lot like last year against A&M. If he starts feeling the pressure, he will start making wrong decisions. And if that does happen, I think LSU has a chance here. I know LSU is a little bit less than a touchdown favorite, dog against Houston with our good friends over at FanDuel. But look, man, they don't do anything spectacularly well offensively. They got a really good tight end in Kozel, however you say it. He's been their leading target for Connor Wigman all year. And Amari Thomas this season, who's got 906 yards and 10 touchdowns, again, against what competition? It's going to be really interesting to see him versus PJ Woodland and DJ Pickett and how that transpires, because I don't think that they're a great team. They're 9-3, but I do not think that they're a great team. When I look at this game and look at it as a whole, I just don't think that you can do anything offensively. And I think that you have an offensive staff that's like, yeah, whatever. As much as I think that you can get after Connor Wigman, as much as I think that defensively that Blake Baker can dial some things up and you can do some really good things on defense, I don't have faith that you can score 20 points. I don't. You haven't done it against a P4 opponent all year. What makes me think that in a transition to Lane Kiffin that you'll be able to do it now? All I want to see from this LSU team is I want to see them get playmakers to football like Trey'Dez Green. I want them to play some of these younger guys, and Teron Francis, Phillip Wright. I want to see some of these young offensive linemen. If Carius Kern wants to enter the portal, by all means, enter it. But if Cohen Eccles, look, you say you're playing in the bowl game, okay, sounds good. Well, I think it's a disservice if you are going to ultimately leave for you to play. I think people go, oh, yeah, he's going to enter the portal, but let him play in the bowl game. The only one that is going to or has announced that he may enter the portal that I would allow to play would be Carius Kern. I would tell Cohen Eccles to pack his stuff and walk, if I'm being completely blunt with you. People are not the same. Carius Kern's not the same as Cohen Eccles. So it's a completely different scenario. I just have zero faith that you can get over 20 points because offensively, you're broken. From the foundation, you're broken. I'm not saying that I'm picking Houston to win because I don't trust in Connor Wigman either. I don't trust in this offense for Houston either. They've done some good things in the running game. I will give them that. I don't know if they're going to be able to run on you for 4 quarters, not if you play like you've done all season. How inspired are you as a team? You know, are you trying to go out there and prove to a new offensive staff and new head coach that you can actually go out there and do something and be a part of what they're going to build here? That would be the motivation. The motivation of, hey, man, let's go get an 8th win. Let's go get an 8th win and be done with it. And we can move into the season next year and do a lot of really good things. I will say this. There's already been a little bit of a culture shift for this football team. Jake Flint did not have a good stranglehold on building the culture. Nobody is more important outside the head coach, in my opinion, than your strength coach. Nobody. And you don't talk about it. You don't bring it up. You don't it's not a topic of conversation. But Jake Flint massively failed. Massively failed. You were weak in a lot of key positions. You had a lot of injuries down the stretch. You were weak, and you couldn't get the culture built from some people that I talk to. I would just say that Nick Savage being in there, it's a completely different feel. Show up late. I double dog dare you. I double dog dare you. More Tommy Moffitt feel than maybe that Jake Flint had. The only thing that I just want to see is I want you to go out there and have fun and be fun while you do it. You got nothing to lose. Frank Wilson's got nothing to lose. Cortez Hankton by far has nothing to lose. Alex Atkins, you have nothing to lose. Go out there and have some fun and try to get your playmakers the football. Give Harlan Berry the football. Give Trey'Dez Green the football. Get some of these young wide receivers the football because Barryon Brown's not it. He's not it. I don't know if Frank wants to limit some of those guys for whatever reason, for whatever he wants to do, but you completely mismanaged Barryon Brown and Chris Hilton. Completely. So Louisiana guy not letting Louisiana guy play when Barryon Brown's got 8 drops in the last 4 weeks. Last 4 games, I should say. So we'll see. I mean, look, we're going to be here to watch it. We're going to be breaking it down. We're going to be doing a post game. So I hope all of y'all are there. But this Houston team's not good. They're a solid team, but they're not. Guys. They don't have the. I don't think that Houston has the more talent than you, even with some of your guys entering the portal. You should be able to do some things. Do I think offensively you can? Not really, because you couldn't. Guys, you could barely do it against Louisiana Tech. What makes me feel like that I have any faith that you can do it against anybody that's a P4 opponent. So defensively, I think you're going to get after Connor Wigman. I think he makes a lot of mistakes. I think that he's one of the worst. And if you statistically look at it, he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the country when it comes to throwing interceptions and turning the ball over. When pressure is applied on him, he's had to run the ball a lot, be physical with him, and keep this a low-scoring game. If you keep Houston between 14 to 17 points, you could beat them. Anything above that, I just don't have a lot of faith. So that's how I see this bowl game going down. I would see it at 2017 if that's how LSU is going to win. Houston gets above 20 points, I don't think you win at all. Defensively, they haven't been bad. They got a lot of playmakers in the second level defensively, does Houston. Their safety play has not been bad at all. At all. Even with A.J. Halsey getting out of there. At corner, they can be beat vertically. But you don't – I have no faith that you can vertically throw the football down the field because you have a system and an overall structure offensively that Joe Sloan brought in that's complete ass. So, it is what it is there. It is what it is. I want LSU to win, but again, just have no faith that they can. All right. Or I have faith that they can. I have no faith offensively that they can do what they need to do. That's what I'd say. All right. Got another super chat here. JD with a $10 super chat says, "Hey Blake, love the show. Is there any current players we know going into the portal that you would love for LSU to target and get?" Yeah, I still think that you need some receivers. Like if Kawan Lacey doesn't go in there, I'd give Trey Wisner a really good look. I think Trey Wisner's a really good back to go with the Thunder and Lightning. I think Wendell Gregory, the edge at Oklahoma State, is really interesting to me. I want to see some more of these edge guys. I think the Hollywood Smothers kid at running back from NC State's really interesting. Amarian Miller's interesting. I don't think there's anybody other than Sam Levitt for me, though. Like, I look at Sam Levitt as like, all right, I'm going all in. Because I think that he can do some really good things with Lane. That's what I'd say. You need some interior offensive linemen, man. You do, and there's not, there's not a lot in there that I would be like, yeah, that's a bona fide starter. We'll see. I think you got to keep Carius Kern. So I know that they have their board ready to go, and we'll see where they attack starting next week. Actually, guys, to just be blunt with you, Here's a present from me to you. After tomorrow night, you're going to start really hearing some shit. So, I'll leave it there. Don't be misled. Do I think that LSU has a good idea of where they want to go in the portal with some of these guys? Yes. But some of the stuff that's been out there has been a little misleading. So it is what it is there. Shaz Preston is entering the portal. I don't know if they'll go there. I think Cardell says Javion Toviano expected to transfer. Yeah. I kind of mentioned that a little bit earlier. It was never going to play here. He's never going to play here. Richard says, is Lanekiffinlsu going to be coaching Saturday? No. And nor should he, because this team offensively is completely awful. They are. I hate to say it like that, but they are. Anthony says, I can't stress enough for sure they mismanaged Chris Hilton. Oh, they completely mismanaged him. And then the fan base was like, oh my God, he dropped the post route. Because Barron Brown had 8 drops in the last 4 games that you played, and they kept running him out there. Chris Hilton has a half a drop, and y'all wanted him off the team. And then you have a head coach, we're going to get the Louisiana field back. 1 team, 1 heartbeat. And you got your shit pushed in. So they completely mismanaged it. Completely. All right. We'll see y'all tomorrow night after the game. Until then, y'all have a blessed day. Peace.